Hello and welcome to another episode of An Incomplete Reflection. I'm here with the wonderful and encourageable Tacie. Tacie, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm feeling easily encouraged.
Ooh, how so?
You make me feel encourageable, Faris.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's almost as if you chose the word. So let's move into the name game just because I think it's quite interesting. So what is your full name?
Tacie Savannah Teleski.
Oh. What's the origin of the name? I like the story.
Tacie was my great grandma or something rather's name. Mm-hmm. Hers was Tacie, so it was a bit of a different spelling. But Savannah, I think it just sounds cool, and then last name, you know how you get those. So.
You're not very enthused by your last name?
I mean, it's neat. It's definitely neat. It's very Polish. Teleski, I guess a few generations back it was Tolski, I think. And it eventually became Teleski. I think Tacie Teleski has a nice ring to it. I think the alliteration of my name definitely has a nice ring to it.
Oh, now that you mention it, I think you're the first person with an alliterative name on the show.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good.
You're welcome.
That's good. No, because you always think as a kid that you're going to meet people like that. Because in cartoons and TV shows, it's always like it'll be like that. Tacie Teleski.
The fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yes. Yeah. He is fantastic and he's a fox, but it's like, is that really your name?
I don't know that I ever really thought when I was a kid, like, I can't wait till I grow up and meet people with alliterative names, but I get what you mean. It
wasn't a dream of mine. It wasn't like my goal in life, but I thought I would be meeting more people.
On every show, they usually are like that. Yeah.
But back to your name, Tacie. Like, what is it? Like, what do you think it means for you? Just because it's not a common name, I would say.
Yeah, it means that everybody screws it up.
I can relate.
I have to do the whole spiel. It's Tacie. It's like Stacy without the S, Tracy without the R. Like every time I explain it, because people, it really gives them takes them back every time you say it. Mm-hmm. I don't really care when people screw up my name. I think it's kind of funny, especially if they get it wrong for a while and
you don't regret
them, and then it's too late.
What did they say? Tacie. I was talking to Tacie, and she was telling me this was great.
Tacie. Yeah. I've gotten tacky, believe it or not. Tracy, Stacy, Tacie. Yeah. A lot of them, people will kind of do whatever they want. They really run with it. They see it and they run with it. You give them an inch, I tell you.
They read it and they're like, I know it. I already know it.
I know it.
They need to be corrected. There's no reason to be concerned. I already know your name is Tacie. It's okay.
Yes.
No, but it's funny that you say you're Stacy without the S, because that's how I always describe it. I do not for my personal name.
When you're introducing me, you say Stacy without the S.
Exactly,
this is Stacy without the S.
Yes, well, I say Tacie, it's Stacy without the S. And then for me, it's Faris with an F.
Because you have to pick with an F.
Because you got to pick something that people know.
Faris.
Yeah. Well, that's what people think. They're like, oh, when you speak French or in French class, do they call you that? And I'm like, they do not on purpose.
Call you
No. Now you're going to get me in trouble now, Tacie. Let's go back to your name. Do you think your name fits you?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I can't imagine having a name. I've never experienced the thing where you go find a key, the personalized keychains, and you go up and
yes.
I've never experienced having that on my own. I just feel like it'd be so weird if I were to go up to one of those and find my name on it. Or I can't imagine having such a common name that you're at work or at school or whatever you're doing and other people have that same name.
Yeah, it's like, this is Stephanie S. and this is Stephanie T.
It's just kind of a weird, I can't imagine that happening to me ever. So I like that my name is not like any other name. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe I feel differently. I probably like my name no matter what it was. I'd probably say it fit me no matter what it was because I've had it my whole life. But I would say it's unique, just like me. So
well, that's very good. That's why do you think I have you on the show? So with going on to that line of thinking, would you ever change your name?
No. I think that's goofy. It's so
even
goofy.
If you got married?
I go back and forth with that because it's the off chance that I'm going to find another T last name to keep this alliteration going, because I just think it's going to sound a little ridiculous if it isn't TT. I mean, some of my friends, I've even had TT. Some people call me, or my mom will say, hey, TT. And it's just, it'd be weird if it wasn't TT. And also I have, it's just my sister and I don't know what other members of my family are going to be passing on the Teleski name. So, the buck might stop here if I don't keep it. Who knows?
So you got to keep, you won't change it because it's like if you're going to be the last one, you might as well.
Right. I might
keep
as well
it,
go out
like,
with a bang with TT.
Mm.
So I don't think I would ever be able to change my name. It's also just feels like a hassle. Like you need to pay to do it, I think.
Well, I think if you get married, you're allowed to do it for free.
Oh, okay.
Like as a part of it.
They give you like
they
a
give
deal.
Yeah.
So if you get divorced, do they then put it back for free, or do you have to pay to do that too?
I haven't been planning. I have not been planning on getting divorced.
You don't factor in divorce when. Okay.
Yeah, I personally have not been planning to get divorced.
Okay.
Even though I think my energy kind of gives off like a divorced dad. Yeah. So that's nor here nor there. We will be right back to go to the custom section. Stick with us. Welcome back, and I am here with the wonderful and encourageable Tacie Teleski, otherwise known as TT. That's what we've just learned. But let's learn more about her. And just to confirm here, because I did not say this in the name game section, what was the first concert you went to?
Ooh, first concert I went to, I think, well, does it count if I was like in the womb? Because I was at a James,
is that what you would count?
At a James Taylor concert. I think I was either very just fresh out of the womb or still in it. Not quite sure.
Well, I think it'd be kind of hard to bring a baby, like a newborn baby, to a concert.
You'd think so, but I really liked loud noises when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was very weird. I would be fine at concerts, or like if my dad was working on cars and it was like big sounding of like big Sanders, those loud noises. I loved that. I would just sleep right through it. He would put me right in the car while he was working on vehicles when it was super loud.
He's putting you in the baby
Apparently,
car seat.
I'm told. So
that would be your final answer.
So probably I would say James Taylor, whether I was there physically, like outside of a womb or still in it, I was still there and it still had an impact. I think the audio went
so
through.
we'll take that as your
James
answer.
Taylor for sure.
Thank you for that security question.
Yes.
Now you can never use it again. We appreciate that. But let's get back to your origins, and you're from Central PA.
Yes, Central Pennsylvania, yes.
So you like pretzels?
What is that about? That's the thing about Central Pennsylvania?
I think that's the thing about Pennsylvania in general, but like if you're in the middle
didn't know that, and I'm from there.
Well, you eat pretzels.
I don't really like pretzels. I mean, coincidentally, I can't say like I don't hate pretzels. I actually did have one today.
That's what I'm saying. See,
but I don't. I used to not like pretzels.
You were afraid of them?
No, I thought they were made of wood. For a while as a kid, I thought, no, this sounds so ridiculous, and I know it is, but something about them, imagine being a kid, it just makes sense. Like, what could they possibly be made out of besides wood?
I understand what you're, like, the color.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything about them, it was just not appetizing. They're so dry. You get such a dry mouth from eating them. I'm not into pretzels. Soft pretzels? Sure. Sure.
Okay.
But I don't know. I never heard this about
because
PA,
upstate New York,
Pretzel,
and I think New Jersey, they eat the majority of the pretzels in the entire country.
Wow.
And I think PA is the number one out of them.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Lots of pretzel eaters.
Yeah, that's a little factoid for you.
Nice,
but
thank you.
Let's move on to a more serious question. From like, how would you describe where you're from? You tell like stories about like the local characters, and they seem like fake. So what would you say, like in a couple of sentences, like how would you describe your hometown, your area?
Yeah. I would say it's definitely a bit yeehaw. If that's a way to describe it. You know, if you go into the kind of the bars in the downtown area, whatever you deem as the downtown area, it definitely feels like a saloon type of thing. I mean, there's no like cowboy boots and like spurs on the boots. You're not like in the Wild West and like draw, but like it does have that kind of vibe to it.
That's all the man's fantasies.
Yes, exactly. Like it definitely has a hate crime kind of vibe to it, I would say. I would also say, like most places, I mean, you can still smoke in openly. Like it's like you kind of step back in time.
But that's fun.
But in like a cringy way.
Oh no, so that's not fun.
And it's a lot of like Let's Go Brandon type of energy there. But you know, people get really excited about my area because they're like, wait, the Amish, like the Amish are also very prevalent in my area.
Oh, really?
That I thought everybody I didn't know that people just didn't have Amish people around them. So, and people are like, it's like novel that there's Amish people around me. So I guess that's kind of okay. But the Amish are not a
they're
way
not
of living. That's not a.
That's like a
very
PA
culty-
and like Ohio thing, like almost exclusively.
Yeah, I didn't know that growing up. I really thought everybody had Amish people.
Like that was your version of like the local weirdos. Not that they're weirdos, but it's like the version of it.
No, it's not even weirdos. Like they're all over the place. Like it's very standard to have horse and buggies. Like. Or like places to tie up your horse. Like that's not a weird thing to have in Amish country. And I just thought it was kind of like that. Most
everywhere
places.
You're like.
It's like, yeah, everybody's got their Amish somewhere, you know. I don't think they're just here.
Yeah,
I guess they are.
Unfortunately,
in that cluster.
Unfortunately, we do not. We only have the furniture stores once in a while.
Yeah.
But would you say you're from the middle of the country?
The middle of the country?
Yeah, like at least like culturally.
Culturally, I don't know. I wouldn't really place myself. I don't think where you geographically place yourself means anything, you know? Because I feel like a lot of people that I grew up around, I definitely placed them in central Pennsylvania, you know? So I don't know. I don't know if I can really make that call.
Well, you studied in central Pennsylvania at Penn State.
Yes.
You studied STEM, is that correct?
Yeah, STEM. That's what's on my diploma. Yes.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean it's on your diploma?
No. Yeah, it just says STEM. No, I did engineering. I did biochemical engineering at Penn State. Yes.
But why? Because you have like a not STEM personality, so I'm curious.
You think I'm a bimbo or something?
No.
Okay,
You said that. That's more. That's a Freudian slip on your part. I'm the one asking questions.
Okay. You caught me.
There you go.
So, I mean, I was always really good at STEM related classes. I would say in high school, math came relative. It wasn't super easy, but it wasn't very confusing to me.
Yeah.
Really like geometry. I kind of like tinkering with things. Engineering sounds neat. I had no clue what I wanted to study. I just started looking through lists of majors and was trying to find something close to the medical field.
So it's like
and I was like, I'll do this because then I'll have job security when I definitely don't have it in me to do medical school. And that's what happened. So I just kind of picked something that sounded cool and then went from there. I didn't grow up thinking I was going to do that. I also didn't grow up knowing that was an option. So
well, that's interesting. That's a lot of people there are like studying origin stories. Usually, like I literally did not know what to do, and this just seemed like a good way to meld like a certain interest in some way.
It's kind of weird. Like growing up, the whole, you know, I want to be this when I want to grow up. I want to be this, or like I want to be a teacher. I don't really think I ever stuck with one thing growing up and doing that. So it was just kind of like, I realized things were really between different relatives going in and out of the hospital, some like family stuff happening where I was in the hospital a lot. I was like, wow, people don't know what they're doing here. It would be great if I were here because I would know what I was doing. So then I kind of thought that and I was like, oh, this is neat. This sounds good. And then I got to college and realized that I actually wasn't that good with math or STEM related things. I just thought I was because I was in central Pennsylvania.
Like you moved over like an hour and you're like, oh,
yeah, I was like, man, this is tough.
You're like, math is no longer the same thing.
I'm a girl. I don't belong here.
No, that's my next question. What's it like to be a woman in STEM? It seems like this is your moment.
Yeah, there's times where it's kind of brutal, but it's such a nice flex. Like it is just such a wonderful feeling when you have a guy come up to you at a party or something and they're like, yeah, so I study mechanical engineering, blah, blah, blah. They just go on their whole spiel and they never ask you. And they're like, so like, what are you into? Like, oh yeah, I do engineering too. Like, and it's just so fun. Because they don't expect it. And I like
to make
that.
them seem like, oh, I already knew what you were talking
small,
about.
Yeah. Just like they do to other people. And it's nice. I like that.
That is what I never would have thought to do that, you know, like just flex on people, be like.
And you don't, the best part is like, I don't like it when people say their specialty of their engineering, they don't just say, oh, I study engineering. And then when you ask like, oh, what kind of engineering? Like you don't need to go through and do the whole thing. Well, I study biomedical engineering with a biochemical specialty. Like who are you proving this to? Like just say you study engineering. We take most of the same classes anyways up until like the third year or so. And it's just when they go do that. And then I just like to casually say, yeah, I do engineering too. And they go, oh, which one? And they like try to pick like the ones with the lowest GPA requirement. They'll like, oh, do you do like civil? Do you do this? Do that? But it wasn't horrible at Penn State because biomedical had the most female students.
Oh, okay.
I would say. So there were quite a few women, but it's still, it's a challenge wherever you are.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's funny because I work in an industry that I think is majority women. So when I'm there, I'm like, hey, I'm a token here. like I'm just hanging out, look at me. No, but I think we're on the same wavelength there. So it's but I think it's a little bit more of a flex to be a woman in STEM.
Yeah.
Than a man in my case.
Yeah, I guess it depends who you ask, but yeah. So sometimes a flex, sometimes kind of.
But would you say generally, would you say you kind of felt like out of place with like other STEM people, or did you like find your tribe?
No, I didn't have a STEM tribe in the slightest. I feel like I like the people who don't seem like they study that, like, because it's just a lot of the people in my major, they just seemed really boring. Like they were very by the book, very like.
We got to get the homework done. It's due tomorrow.
Like, excuse me, you didn't collect the homework yet. Like, stop. Like, leave it alone. So I felt like there were a lot of people like that at Penn State, which was great for study buddies. But anything past that, there were very few select people that I stuck with through college, and they're some of my best friends. So in that regard, those people are cool, but I would also meet them and never expect that they study that. Not because they're stupid, but because they're not boring. So I don't know.
Like they say, oh, I study applied mathematics, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
When did you? When?
Yeah.
Since when?
Yeah. Like I would expect them to do something with that's a little bit more intriguing.
Yeah, a little bit more creative.
Yeah, exactly. More creative. Yeah.
Not a lot of drawings in their books,
But
people, or more drawings in their books.
Yeah, get more drawings in your books. People expect me when I say my major that I'll have like a really like creative major, like artsy, which in a perfect world I probably would have done that. I would have loved to just go do art or like something, do crafts as my major. Best case scenario right there.
Well, you would be selling stuff on Etsy. Like that'd be your.
I've tried to do that. Etsy takes so much. They take so much.
What did you try to sell on Etsy?
Well, I was gonna have an Etsy account because for a while I was like making candles and soaps and like lotions and pretty much anything that I could make with like different herbs or butters or oils and things like that. I was like, wow, these look pretty cute. I would totally buy these off of Etsy if I were somebody else.
And you're like, oh wait, I could sell them instead.
Yeah, I could just sell them to people. But Etsy takes too much money.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they take quite a bit from the sellers. So, they got to take some. I get it. But do they need to take that much? I don't know. Yeah.
This is the perfect time to announce that an incomplete reflection is going on Etsy. No, it's not.
You can buy shirts on Etsy.
Yeah. But let's move on to another topic. So you have a family. You have heritage.
Yes, I do, I think.
It seems, at least from what you tell me, it doesn't seem like religion and heritage are not really that important or discussed.
Ooh, that they aren't?
That they are not. Yeah.
I would disagree. I feel my family's quite religious, I would say. Not so much like I grew up going to church every Sunday, but like I definitely was baptized. It would have been blasphemy, I think, if I wasn't. Most people go to church. Yeah, I've had to read the Bible a lot. Like all the daycares I went to and preschools and stuff like that, they were all like religious affiliated places to be. So I would say that's pretty rampant. Grew up, saying prayers or saying grace at the table for big meals.
No, because the reason I ask is because when we were talking about it, I said, like, what type of Christian are you? And I said, are you Catholic? And you're like, what do you mean by that?
Well, see, it's tricky. So my dad's side is Catholic, my mom's side's not. And to be honest with you, I don't really know the different categories of Catholicism or Christianity. Like I don't even know the breakdown of it. And I don't care enough about it, I think, to learn. It's all kind of interchangeable to me. Same book, like same day. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I don't know what my family would be. I'm not any of them, I would say. So yeah.
But would you say it's the same thing for like heritage wise?
Heritage wise, so like where we're from?
Yeah, like is that, like
So it's weird. My mom actually started doing a bunch of like the 23andMe or Ancestry or whatever those were for like her side of the family. A lot of German. Most people are. It's a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch.
Yeah.
Is pretty much my mom's whole side. A lot of Native American too on her side. Really? Or at least a little bit. She's got like the whole breakdown. I've never done one of those things. I should. I kind of want to. My dad's side, I know some people are from Italy. Some people are Polish. Really just like a mutt type of situation.
European
I would
mutt.
say, for our heritage. But if I ever do one of those kits, I'll give you a more informed answer, I guess.
No, but do you think it's like important to you, or are you just like, I'm whatever?
I don't think it's important to me. Like, I think if somebody like made a Polish joke at me, it wouldn't like really get me. Like, oh my gosh, you're really insulting me. Like, that wouldn't do it. So I would probably say no. I mean, the only thing that I can think, Pennsylvania Dutch, I didn't realize how much stuff I ate at home was Pennsylvania Dutch. And, like, there's recipes that just no one has heard of other than in our area. Like, shoe fly pie. Have you ever had that?
Literally never heard of it.
Okay. Or, like, SOS. Like, it's like chip. So chip beef on toast. It's also called that.
Oh, okay. I think I may have heard of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's just, like, things like that I thought were just standard recipes that, like, small towns have. But apparently they're just very Pennsylvania Dutch. And my family's very Pennsylvania Dutch. So that makes sense why we would make it.
Okay.
So stuff like that, I guess the food part would be kind of important, but it's just what you make. I don't know that it was different. We aren't like, oh, we're going to celebrate like this day because of our heritage or anything like that. It's
there's no St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, no, there's nothing like that. I mean, I wouldn't say heritage is very, very important to my family. But one time my dad found like a Teleski's pizza shop somewhere in Poland on Google Maps, and he got super excited and was like, we have to go here someday. Like, they are our relatives. So maybe it's important to him and I just don't know about it.
Yeah, that's a possibility. You'd have to ask him. I think I'd be like, excuse me, I get him on the phone.
We'll get him here next. We'll do a phone a friend soon.
I think that'd make it too chaotic because yeah, I think it would just be we're not what is the game show? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Who Wants to Be on an Incomplete Reflection. That is a more accurate title.
I told him that I was doing this today and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. You're doing a podcast?" And then my grandma was like, "What's a podcast?" And it was a whole rigmarole that I did before coming here.
Wonderful. I can't wait to hear their thoughts. But we will have to move on to a slightly related question about your family. You're the first eldest sister on the show.
Oh wow! Yeah. A lot of younger siblings on the show.
Yeah, a lot of younger siblings or middle children. We've had an older brother on the show. That
speaks volumes, Faris.
But it's a good thing. But what would you say is the dynamic of your family?
Dynamic of my family is pretty good right now. I think there's an ebb and flow to it. Growing up, Sid and I, my younger sister, we definitely acted like older and younger siblings do. We would kind of bicker a lot, but also be really close. And there was like a weird time when I think she was like high school, college. We weren't super close. And it was kind of like, she was in a kind of an edgy, weird phase where she hated everybody. I kind of was just not interested in addressing that.
You're like, you do you.
It was just too angsty. We were both, I think, too angsty for a while, but now we're best friends. It's good. It's just I don't know whether to say it's a good dynamic, a bad dynamic. I think we have a pretty good dynamic as a family, especially compared to like other families, but it's not like everything's, open book or always bright and sunny. I think we have a very the dynamic is the dynamic, and I don't think it's going to shape or change in any way across the span of our lives.
It's already decided.
It is what it is. It's written in stone. That's kind of how it works. It's a little bit different than other people's. It's kind of the same, good in some ways, a little weird in other ways. But yeah, nothing to complain about. I think we have a pretty decent dynamic.
Would you say, like, as the older sister, like, did you ever feel like responsible?
Yes, all the time.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. All the time. I still feel responsible for her. I was out with her last night with my friends, and I was like, oh my gosh, where's Sid? I'm like, yeah.
It's like, is she eating enough?
Yes.
Like, did she drink water? Are you drinking water?
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel responsible for her in some ways, yes.
Well, that's good.
I think older sibling. I think that's kind of
it's ingrained in you.
That's the job that you are born with. Like, you don't want the job, but you get it. So you have to have it.
Yeah, it's designed for you.
Yeah, it's designed for you. So, I mean, she looks out for me too. So it's not one-sided,
it's not a one street,
But yeah, I would say I definitely am always looking out for her as my younger sister.
That's a good thing. Yeah, you always want someone to look out for you. But what did you say when you were kids? And I may have asked this before, not on the podcast. Did you have control of the remote for the TV?
I mean, we all had control of the remote, really. But Sid and I weren't allowed to watch a lot of shows that other kids were allowed to watch. So really no one had control of the remote besides my dad, probably. Even when we had control of it, it was kind of like we would be pretending to watch something on Boomerang. And then like quickly use the like previous button to like go back to what we were watching, or we'd hear him come down the steps and we'd turn off Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and then we put on something else. Which Sweet Life of Zack and Cody wasn't a bad show, but there were I don't know. My parents were oddly strict in what we watched growing up. So Sid and I definitely had control over the remote, but it was kind of fake control over the remote because we couldn't really ever watch.
It wasn't openly controllable where you're like, I'm just going to watch Zack and Cody.
It was a facade of control over the remote. Yes.
Oh, okay. No, because it's funny because my older sister, she had control. If she walked in the room, she just took it. Like,
wow. She controls the room. That's amazing. Yeah. That is so amazing. And I don't always want the control of the remote. That's too much on you. I don't always want that responsibility.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'll say. I learned a lot about like Wizards of Waverly Place. I watched Degrassi.
I watched that one. No. Because it was like witches and stuff. Okay. It was like not good. You couldn't have that.
Were you allowed to watch Degrassi?
No. I mean, I've heard of that, but I'm not even entirely sure what that one's about.
It's about like a Canadian high school and their high school problems. And like as a middle schooler, I'd be like, why do we always have to watch this? But then I was like kind of into it at the same time. And like I just couldn't say it. I'd be like, the drama, it's so good. Like, but that's why I asked, because it's
I see.
It's related to my own,
I don't know that there's a correlation between older siblings and always having control of the remote. There could be something there, but I'm not sure. You'd have to have some more.
I'll do more polling, you know, like
some more data points for that to see where the trends are.
Perfect. Well, Tacie, what I like about you is a show from the early 2000s that whose lead was Amanda Bynes. But what I like about you is that most of the time when it is a song, well, that's
the theme song of the show? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
What is that? The Romantics or something?
Yes, actually, I think so. Yeah. But
wow, that's a good factoid too, Faris. Yeah. Thank you for these.
No, but this one it goes into a question. So you're interrupting the question.
I'm so sorry.
What I like about you is that you generally like know what I'm talking about when I like talk about like 70s music or like just older people things. Do you think you have like an old soul?
Yeah, I mean, I've been told that quite a bit, but it's like you never know whether you actually have an old soul or whether it's just kind of a creepy like older man saying like, oh, you've got such an old soul. Like,
men don't tell me that.
So
older men don't tell me.
When you tell me I have an old soul, Faris, it's like a wholesome kind of thing. I would say I have an old soul, but it's probably mostly just because of the music aspect of things. I don't know anything about history. Like, I don't know jack about anything that happened in those time periods, but I do know the music. And that's just because I grew up listening to it. So
no, because I like the story that you said about, I think you said your grandfather or someone was telling the song El Paso and trying to like say, oh, this was actually my life. Yes.
My grandpa was convincing my ex-boyfriend that El Paso, down in the West Texas town of El Paso, he fell in love with a Mexican girl. And he had him going. He was like, did you know that he cheated on your grandma with this Mexican girl in El Paso?
And you're like, what are you talking about?
And I was like, oh, Marty Robbins? The song by Marty Robbins? Is that the story you're referencing? He got him so good. It was hysterical. And
No, I love that story because it's just like so specific, but it like, I knew what you were talking about. So I'm like, oh, okay. We're on the same.
It's rare to find someone around our age that would understand that.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get into cowboy music. You know,
okay.
Like it's good. It's like you get to feel like you're 40 again.
Yeah.
No.
It's also weird. Like you'd think more people would be into old cowboy music in my town, but it's kind of like older people for sure are obviously, but like the young people, the country, they listen to like country rock, country hip hop. Like it's like new weird country. They're not even. If you're gonna be a cowboy, you're gonna do the whole thing. Like, just
Yeah.
be a real one.
Just
That's
listen
all
to
I'm asking.
just listen to Glenn Campbell. Come
yeah,
on.
like keep it
Yeah.
consistent. Like
Yeah.
stick to it. Stick
Yeah.
to it.
Now listen to Jerry Reed. You know, like
somebody.
you got to just do that. But yeah, I thought that would be an interesting question for you because I get told, "Oh, Faris, you're an old soul" all the time. I'm like, I just don't like keeping up with the trends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like you're trying too hard when you're keeping up with the trends, and I don't really like that.
Yeah. It's kind of like being forced to like be stylistically like everyone else.
Yes, exactly. And it's also hard to keep up with. I have no interest in like doing that extra chore just to make sure I know what people are talking about. But sometimes I like to know what people are talking about, but I don't want to do the homework. Like
someone said to me, they're like, well, but the hype, wait, you got to get into the hype. And it's like, I can live without it. I promise you, I can live without it.
I've got enough hype. I've got enough hype in other aspects of my life. I
help hype myself up, you know?
We hype each other up. We hype ourselves up. Yep.
We don't
need that. We don't need the trends.
But let us move on to the quote for you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Lovely.
As ready as I'll ever be.
Take chances. Make mistakes. That's how you grow. Pain nourishes your courage. You have to fail in order to practice being brave. It's by Mary Tyler Moore.
Okay.
You know who Mary Tyler Moore is?
No.
She was an actress and comedian.
Okay.
She was on TV in the 60s and 70s, I believe.
Okay.
Do you like that quote?
It sounds all well and good. I don't know about it in practice. It sounds pretty similar to a quote that I've heard growing up a lot. But more of a negative. So that one's like a positive flip on like, yeah, do stuff, make mistakes.
Yeah.
What my sister and I have always heard growing up, and this is all my dad, is mistakes cost you time, money, or your life. The amount, I mean, I was hearing this from probably age 6 and on. Like, I'd do one thing, I'd like drop my sippy cup, and mistakes cost you time, money, or your life. And it's just, I hated when he would say it so much, but now when he says it, it's like, you're so right.
Yeah.
And I flip it around on him all the time. I'm like, Dad, you know, mistakes cost you time, money, or your life. I mean, it's not a him quote. It was like from one of my relatives who used to tell him it and all that. So it's kind of like that, but that feels not super practical, like really rainbowy to me.
Too much in the clouds.
Yeah, too much in the clouds. It's not realistic. Yeah, make mistakes. They're going to cost you time, money, or your life. But if you can get okay with that, then sure, do them.
Well, you might learn something.
Yeah,
from it,
you would definitely learn something unless you're dead.
Dad, yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the one that got me. It's like time, money. All right, that makes sense. Your life, that is really intense to tell a 3-year-old.
Really, everything comes down to time, money, or your life. Like all of them, and most of the time, it's 1, 2, or all of the factors combined. So
I think a little bit more positive would probably be your health. You know, time, money, or your health.
Yeah, we don't care about health. I don't think in my family. I don't think we're caring about that one.
Well, that's why you wanted to study.
Yeah, exactly.
See how it all comes together?
Yeah, no, it's all full circle.
We might have came to the breakthrough. This is the quote that started.
Wow. And when I tell people that, I'm gonna switch the quote and I'm gonna say mistakes cost you time, money, or your health.
Well, I'm glad I was able to add to the Telesky quote giving, you could say. Yeah. But let's move on to our next topic, travel.
Okay.
I would describe you as an international traveler, including the following places. You can add in others. Portugal, Belgium, Canada, Vietnam, Kenya. Did I get the list?
Cambodia.
Oh.
Been to the UK, to Italy, Greece. Yeah, that might cover. I mean, Germany, the Netherlands recently. That'd probably cover the international piece, I would say.
Because I think it's interesting. I'd like to know, where did you like develop this love for traveling? Because based on where you went to school, you were not like, it would seem that you're not a regular Magellan. Yeah, no. I mean, not many people in my family have traveled. The only travel you do in my family is if you're in the military. So I never really thought it was something that I would do. Like I didn't, it's not that I wasn't like, oh, I'll never travel, but I never really thought about it. Like, oh yeah, I could just leave the country and go do that. Why would I do that when everything is right here in our 50 states? But I had a teacher in high school and he was like, no, everybody needs to travel. It's like one of the best things you can do for yourself, really open up your eyes to the whole world.
And I went to Italy when I was in high school with like a school group.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy canali, there's a whole world out here. This is crazy. These people are speaking a different language. It's not just like the sights and the scene. It's not that. It's like the whole culture is just so different, and it's so hard to describe to people that haven't been outside of the country. And I feel like I talk to a lot of my relatives and like, why are you going there? Why are you doing this? I'm like, I don't know that you would get it, because it's like you haven't
been
prepped. Like, just go quick and then you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, and I don't want to be one of the like high and mighty like travelers, like you wouldn't know unless you were there. But like, it's like super neat, and I feel like you can't knock it till you try it, you know?
That is true.
So that's how I got into traveling. And then I just fell in love with it. It was like, whoa, this is way too cool. We're like in this little bubble. There's actually all that other stuff out there. So then I just kind of wanted to keep doing it from there. And I was fortunate enough to be able to because of my high school teacher. So,
well, thank you to
Michael. Thank you.
Thank you very much. But was there a specific place that you would ever live in? Like at the places you visited?
Yeah, live-in is tricky.
Well, how about not permanently?
Yeah, for a stunt, I would probably live in most places. I mean, the UK was a bit dreary for me. I don't think I'd want to live there for even a short amount of time.
Not enough natural light.
Yeah, not enough natural light. Just very kind of industrial feeling, and I don't know. I'm not into that. I think a lot of places in Italy, I'd be able to live there for a while. Yeah, it's just the laid back vibe of that whole country is just night and day. I think many places in Europe are like that. I think the way that we prioritize our work weeks and the way that we do things here in corporate America is just so drastically different, and that would be a very challenging thing to shift to, but I think it would be very wonderful and beneficial to me to switch to that.
You're like,
and everybody else.
It'd be
also.
good. Yeah, well, yeah, good for
everybody
everyone.
else in the world.
Here's one more question for you.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna wait for you to finish that water, because I think this one will knock your
I might
socks
spit it
off.
out.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh boy.
So it says here in my notes that you were married on one of your travels. How did that happen?
Yeah. So that happened in Kenya. And yeah, I mean, I can say, I guess, that I was technically married. It's unclear to me how Kenya law really works. It might be unclear to everyone, to be honest. There's a lot of things that are very interesting, I would say. But when I was on the trip, we found out that in Kenya, all it takes is a Kenyan person that is like registered or certified to be a minister that says the vows and marries you. And then if you get these, like, your marriage papers signed, you're married up until this certain point, you get the marriage paper signed. But if you don't get the marriage paper signed, you're not married. And so what we did was we had like a fake marriage or wedding just because it was a fun study abroad and we wanted to throw a big party, and the professor was gone for the week and it was just awesome. And he was one of my really close friends. We got free drinks the entire night. Everybody was like, these guys just got married. So
That's
technically, when whatever time frame that was until we got it signed, which we didn't, we were married by Kenya law because we had a Kenyan person there, did the ceremony and everything, but we didn't, kiss or anything. Oh, yeah. It wasn't a romantic marriage. It was purely for fun, not even for business. Yeah, purely for fun, which I guess any marriage should be. But yeah, it was a pretty fun marrige. So it's going to be hard to top that one. I guess.
Assumed that the end of it was because the husband did not perform his duties.
Yeah. But it
Carlos. Seems like, yeah. Carlos, come on.
No, I think we knew, it was a stunt for what it was. I don't think it was ever in the cards for us to have a relationship other than a phony one.
Oh, okay.
And it was just kind of a cheeky little joke. But yeah, if we could have gotten those signed, that would have been insane. But it was weird. The professor came back and they were like, yeah, Tacie and Carlos got married while you were gone. He said, oh, you kids.
He didn't believe it. The professor didn't believe it.
We had a whole reception on the roof.
It's too much.
Yeah, it was fun, and I like being able to say that I was technically married.
You were married, not technically.
Yeah, I was married. Back
you were never divorced.
To be married.
Never
I know.
Divorced. Good.
I still gotta knock that off the list.
That's on the list. That's what you want in your life. You're like, I need to get divorced. You're like, I'm saving everything for my divorce.
It just sounds exhilarating, like quitting your job, getting a divorce. Like, it's like
why would you quit your job? Wait, why would you quit your job?
No, not like at the same time. I'm saying
okay.
separate phenomena, but have the same feeling. I would imagine quitting your job is probably the same thing as getting a divorce, except quitting your job is like you just slam stuff down, you flip your desk or whatever, and you storm out. But divorce is like this long. If you ever watch Marriage Story, that movie,
okay,
then I was like, wait, maybe I don't want to get divorced because that looks brutal. But if it was just like a quick marriage and maybe just I don't know, then it's just kind of a funny little thing.
You make it more fun than I think.
If you marry for money, then get a divorce.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. Yeah. That is the name of the game.
That makes sense to me.
But let us finish off with Let's Reminisce.
Okay.
Though I've only known you for a little bit over a year, we've had a wonderful friendship, as they would say. And in fact, we went on vacation together to the fantastic country of Portugal. And I just want to know...
Portugal.
Yeah, Portugal. Yeah. What made you want to go on a trip with people you didn't know for more than a year to Portugal?
Oh, why not? Why not? I mean, I would have gone on a trip by myself to Portugal. So it's like... Why not just tack on some people that seem to be normal and fun to hang around with? It'd probably be
I like the word seem.
Better to have like two men accompany me on a trip rather than be a, lonesome woman traveler in an area that I don't know. And you also pretty much spoke the language, so that was super convenient.
Yeah.
But I figured, there's good people that I've met. They want to go here. I kind of also want to go here. Why not go with them?
I'll tell you what, you're a lot more adventurous than I think I would be if I were in your shoes. It's like, let's go, two guys, protection.
Yeah, well, it's not that I really, no offense, Faris, but I didn't think of you as protection necessarily.
No.
But it did offer something. It did offer a certain peace of mind to be going with other people.
Yeah, for sure.
So I thought that was nice, and I thought it would be a cool experience for us to like be in hostels together and do the whole thing. I thought it would be cool, and it's if you hate it, it's only a week or 10 days or whatever we did. So it's. I mean, you're in a country that you can explore, whether you hate the people you're with or not. It's probably still going to be a good trip if you don't let it get you down. So who cares?
Oh, that's one way. I think that's a positive way to look at it. Well, I'll tell you what, you inspired me to go on my own solo trip because through the hostels, because at first I was a little skeptical, but like after doing it, it's like, I'm young, I'm a man, what do I have to fear? What do I have to fear?
Yes, exactly.
like what's the worst thing gonna...
Yeah. People are so worried about this. It's like, it's just we have a very different way of looking. You would never do hostels in the U.S.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, never.
Like you
literally
hide
never.
your stuff, lock it up. There, it's like you can leave your baby outside of a store and no one's gonna bother it when you come back. Like it's a different vibe completely.
I love the example you told, but we do have to move on to the silhouette. We'll be right back. And here we are, back with the wonderful and encourageable Tacie for her, or the silhouette of her. I'm going to ask you a series of questions that will just give our audience a good idea of who you are just based on these questions. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so what is the month or season you could live an eternity in?
Summer.
Why?
Oh, I mean, I grew up by the river and I just want to be in the water and... I hate the cold and the days last forever. The fresh cut grass smell. I mean, what's not to like about summer? You open up a cold beer. It's like, oh,
not as a kid. I hope.
Oh.
What is your favorite color from the basic Crayola marker pack?
I really like that crayon, whatever it's called. It might be violet or something, but it kind of looks like it might be black, and you pick it up thinking it's black, and then it's really like a purpley color.
Got it.
I like that. It trips people up. I like that one.
I like the reason, but it's not the question. But I like the answer.
Well, I don't know by heart.
Well, no, because this is about markers. This isn't about the Crayola, like crayons.
I mean, these are markers?
Yeah,
why would we ask about...
Because the idea is to get everyone's
so,
idea. It's
like,
too specific.
New and crazy. I mean, Crayola markers. What are we living in 2050, Faris?
We have to move on.
Okay,
I'm sorry. We
please
have to move on. If you had to describe yourself as a candy or snack, what would it be?
Middlesworth potato chips.
What does that even mean?
Middlesworth is a brand of chip that is only in like parts of PA, I guess. Apparently. The kettle cooked barbecue chips, they're what I like, and I didn't know that they didn't exist other places. until I left. And everybody was like, wait, what are Middle Swarth chips? And I was like, wait, what? You don't know what those are? So probably that.
A local legend of a food.
Yeah, a local legend of a food, Middle Swarth potato chips.
Lovely.
Put an advertisement in for those.
Next time.
This is sponsored by Middle Swarth potato chips.
I would love nothing more
Kettle
to get
Cook.
a sponsor. What was the most recent lie you told?
The most recent lie I told?
Yes.
Yesterday I was getting a pedicure and the woman asked me if I called to make an appointment, and I said yes, because I've been to that place a million times and they never, like, even if you call to make an appointment, you'll be sitting there for an hour and a half. People that just walked in will go in front of you, like.
Oh, perfect.
So I didn't feel bad about it. I've waited there millions of times. They have so much of my money. That's probably the most recent lie. The other one I can't say on camera.
Well, I'll ask about it after. What would you say yesterday or tomorrow to that question? Yesterday or tomorrow?
That's tricky. I'm kind of split half and half. While I love to reminisce, I also love to daydream about the future. So if I had to pick, I might pick yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
that kind of sounds bad, but.
Well, what do you miss most about the past?
Like, just in general?
Yeah.
When they put everything in glass bottles. Not plastic everything.
That I like that.
Probably.
That's
like
a pretty good
glass,
answer, yeah.
Yeah, the glass bottles. That's what I miss about the past.
And what do you miss most about your past? What do you miss most about your past? Excuse me.
My past?
Yeah.
I kind of miss the phase of life where, like, not the whole world hasn't opened up quite yet. You kind of have tunnel vision into, like, you know, I could do this or this, not like I could do 800 different things. It's kind of overwhelming the amount of paths you can take in life. So I kind of miss when it was simpler and it was just, you know, I could grow up and be a vet or a teacher or a firefighter.
You got three options.
That's kind of it.
Yeah.
I kind of miss that. Yeah, I miss that about being younger.
The simplicity.
Yeah, the simplicity of that back in the day, I would say.
I can't say I don't agree. What do you want to learn more about but haven't gotten to yet?
That would be, I don't know, like I said before, I don't know anything about history. I really should know some things about history and geography. It's almost to the point where it's embarrassing how little I know about history and geography. So that I should get on top of. I haven't done it. I've got there's no reward waiting for me to do it. So it's like, I don't know.
It's just, it'll make you a more rounded person.
Yeah, it'll make me a more well-rounded person. And I should do that.
If you could visit any time and place as an invisible tourist, where and when would it be?
See, that's what's tricky about this question, is because I think if I knew more about both history and geography, I'd be able to answer that.
Question. Okay.
But I don't even think I can answer that because I don't know anything about history or geography. So
you're like, I'll take that for later.
Back to you. Yeah, okay. I'll get back to you.
What is the most important or helpful advice you ignored?
And that one, I don't think I ignore much advice because I think I'm going to jinx myself if I do that. So I will never ignore, even if it's ridiculous. I probably will still have that in the back of my mind because I don't want somebody to be able to say, I told you so. So I don't know that I really ignore too much advice.
You're avoiding, I told you so. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Or I'll just, I mean, sometimes I do, but I intentionally ignore it. I don't know. It's not like I don't think it's important or anything, but I'm like, no, I know it's not a good idea. I'm going to do it. I'm encourageable, you know?
Okay. And the last question of the silhouette, what is something you believe to be true but found out wasn't?
I mean, can I use the pretzel example? How I thought the pretzels were made out of wood for a second? Because that really, actually another one with that is, for some reason, and I think I might have dreamt this, but growing up I thought that motorcycles would stall if you rode them in the rain.
What?
Like, motorcycles would stop working if they got wet. And I don't know what made me think that. I think it was on maybe a show, like something happened to a motorcyclist and it just happened to be raining. Something got lost in translation, but for way too long into my life, I genuinely thought, like, why are you riding a motorcycle? Right? Like,
it's going to break.
Aren't you going to stall? Like, even I remember thinking to Owen, like, well, he can't ride this in the rain because his motorcycle's not going to work. I don't know what that was about. That one was really weird. But yeah, the pretzels one, that was good. Well,
we'll take both. I like both of them.
Both.
And as we're wrapping up here, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hi to everyone watching.
And now
yeah,
goodbye.
this has been fun. I'm happy to be on a podcast. This is my first podcast. It was pretty fun. So I hope everybody enjoys this episode. I guess that's it.
Yeah, well, thank you, Tacie, for joining us on An Incomplete Reflection, and we will be back with another guest at another time. We'll see you then.